Hello, if you're new here, I'm Grisha, or Gregory, that's my full name. I'm 16 years old, go to school here in London, and I share my thoughts on YouTube. So I'll just jump straight in with the first thought of the week, I guess. While we do this, I'll be making myself a little bit of a snack because I only just got back from school. So if I ever just randomly disappear out of frame and reappear with something which I can use to then get a tea bag from, that's what's happened. The first thought, as you saw in the title, is about a book which I'm reading, or a book which I have read, and it's part of a series. So there are a lot more books very similar to it. So the book is from a series called The Stormlight Archive by Brandon Sanderson. And the specific book is called The Way of Kings. That was a book which I've read. There are 4 more books in the series, and I'm currently reading the second one, which is called Words of Radiance. And they're really good, totally recommend it. But in those books, there are some, as with all books, very inspirational characters. So, to name some of these inspirational characters, we have Dalinar Kholin, Kholin. He is the uncle of the king, and he is basically the discipline guy in the book, at least for me. You've got Kaladin, who's the tenacity guy. He's, I guess you could call him squad leader of Bridge 4. But I won't go into the details because I think you guys deserve to read the book yourselves. Now, these characters, Kaladin becomes one of the Knights Radiant, and at least I think he does. And the Knights Radiant, pretty cool. The knights who protected the realm 4,500 years ago, they lived by codes. They lived by certain rules, and they had a specific, I guess, mantra to live by. The words which they do say are as follows: life before death, strength before weakness, journey before destination. So, whereas I think that these are generally fairly self-explanatory, my favorite one, and the quote for this video, is strength before weakness. What this basically means is that before being weak, you should be strong. Being weak is the easy thing. It's easy to give up and complain. It's easy to think, I'm not good enough, or it's easy to blame someone else for your shortcomings. But before you are weak, be strong. However, I go into more depth on this in my newsletter. So yes, I guess this is kind of a plug. But in very, very short terms, these words really inspire me to be extremely disciplined. I'm trying to be much more disciplined. Alright, hi, this is me in post. I realise how hypocritical it is for me to say this while eating a raw mozzarella with my hands. So, yeah, I'm sorry about that one. I'm not being fully honest, and I realise in retrospect, A, why my parents don't like me eating like this, and B, how stupid I was in this moment. So, I'm sorry. And I'll call in who is very disciplined, especially at school. So, if you need somewhere to get discipline from, I recommend Words of Radiance. I mean, it's pretty obvious that it was the new year, right? I'm pretty sure every single person knows that New Year happened because every single person watching this is in 2025 or later, unless you've discovered time travel somehow. So, as many people do, I set some goals for 2025. I think these goals are a bit more concise than the ones I did last year, and a lot of ones I feel a lot of other people do. And I would share them if I had them on hand right now. But in short, they're physical, which is climbing. So I try to go climbing 3 times a week. When I do it, I train rather than just climb to make sure I'm actually improving. Then you've got school, which is I want to get really good grades on my GCSEs. I want to get straight 9s. I'm halfway there. I've got about half 9s on my mocks, which is good, but there's still room for improvement. And so I need to revise about half an hour 8 times a week, which people didn't understand when I told them at school. It means half-hour blocks. So I can do 3 half-hour blocks and then a day with none. It's not 8 days in a week. Then I've got my YouTube goal, which ideally would be to upload twice a week. There'll not be a video this week, but next week there will be a video. 2 videos, including Wednesday waffle and something else. And hopefully that will keep up for at least until the end of the quarter. I'm really struggling with videos right now, though. I don't like the ideas I've got because they feel really unoriginal. So I might try spice it up with something else, but that takes time. And ultimately, consistency beats originality, which I do need to remind myself of at times. And then my last goal is probably the hardest goal for me, and that is balance. The reason it's so hard is because it's extremely hard to quantify what a balanced day looks like. Essentially what it is I want to make sure that I'm still happy despite following all these goals, despite being extremely disciplined, because extreme discipline can lead to extremely stupid actions being made without any questioning. So ultimately, this last one is to prevent that from happening. Those are my goals. I think it's useful to share your goals. So if you have any, please just drop them in the comments. And I mean, best of luck this year on achieving those goals. I actually need to set systems, and I think you guys should too. It's something which Ali Abdal talks about a lot, but if you don't set a system for a goal, when you're not disciplined to do it, or when for some reason you don't do it, your goal falls through. Your consistency is stopped, and then your motivation is gone. If you set a system, however, it means that the next day, it's extremely difficult for you to just turn up and not do it again, because it's become, I guess, habit, or I prefer ritual as a word. I almost ate my mic. It's probably the shortest prompt, but I got a mic, as you can see, for Christmas. And what I've really enjoyed doing lately is going out for a walk and having my mic strapped to my hoodie or coat because it's really cold, and just talking into it. My previous newsletter, again, shameless plug, was about this, or it was about a thought which I'd had about Daniel Colleen. However, I've had other thoughts, and for instance, one of these is about London and how actually I feel really confined in London, and that's probably why I don't like it and want to move away. Not right now, but when I'm older. What I mean is that, for instance, very simply, the houses are a lot closer together than in areas out of London or in other places. And the mindset also feels a lot more constricting, but I'm not fully sure about that one. Ultimately, I want freedom, and the opposite of freedom is confinement. And so clearly I'm finding some of that in London, however it has happened to be. But yeah, I definitely recommend verbal journaling, walking around talking to yourself. It might seem a bit crazy, but very well put by a Zen monk called Shunmyo Masuno. He said that when you're moving, you can only focus on one thing. So if I am moving and walking, that doesn't require much thought. And if I'm thinking while I'm walking, only my thinking will get the attention. Another thing from that book by Shunmyo Masuno, which is about being busy. So, in Japanese, the word for busy is made up of the characters lose and heart, or lose and heart. And that can almost be inversed. So if you don't actually want to be busy, all you have to do is keep your heart during an action. Keep the intentionality. Remember the reason why you're doing it. Remember the reason that, at least for me, I do YouTube is because I really want to have a free lifestyle where I can do what I want. And then free time becomes productive time because your actions are actually freeing you from being busy and your heart is still kept. Very short. I'm almost losing focus on this video now. I've eaten a bit. I liked this setup. I really like it. Maybe less of the eating. But I'll see. This does reassure me though, because it means that perhaps my cooking idea can work. But we'll look at that later. You will see in other videos. My final thing is about exams, because I had exam week this week at school. Well, not this week. I had it before the holidays, and I'm getting feedback now. As I've already touched on, I got really good grades in about half of my subject, and in about half of my other subjects I didn't do as well as I'd hoped. which is all right. It's to be expected, and I kind of deserve it. I didn't try enough on some of them. I wasn't prepared enough on some of them, and so yeah, that's totally my fault. In the way that I'm not super bothered by them. They're not that bad, but they're bad enough to make me want to try more and do better. And they really justify the school goal which I've set. So if you find something which happens to justify your goal, it's genuinely so satisfying. I can't describe to you how much, at least I enjoy it. And yeah, that just reinforces the importance of negative feedback and being aware of your position in whatever goal you're pursuing. If you don't actually know where you are, and if you're not getting feedback on how you've done something, obviously you're never going to improve. And so this kind of scuffed Wednesday waffle comes to an end with my trio: the quote, the ponder, and the haiku. I'll start with a quote, which I've already said is strength before weakness. There's a lot to delve into with that, so if you want to, just search up strength before weakness, Stormlight Archive lore, and it will give you a whole bunch of stuff. Or read my newsletter. That's a good one. Something to ponder is, what system do you need to put in place to ensure that your resolutions and your goals actually come to fruition? I need to think about it myself, and I'll probably do it after I've edited this video. And finally, the haiku. Mimic octopus. Blue-black spots all over. The best thief in town. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next week.